Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Joni Young. If you're new here, thanks for joining. I'm inviting you guys to hang out with me today for a little painting session and some chit chat. I've got my favorite teacup in here that I just got, and hope you enjoy this video. Stay tuned, guys. So I've got quite a bit of new supplies here, as you can see, many different sizes of smaller canvases, canvas board, gesso board. Here's an array of some of my colors that I like to use and different brands, different brushes. I just came from my garden, picked some fresh roses that smell so nice. It's really important to me to create a nice atmosphere and ambiance in my studio and workspace. I like to have my puppy with me, fresh flowers if I can, a beautiful scented candle, a nice cup of tea, and great lighting. It all makes for a wonderful creative space. So here I've got some gesso boards. I'm going to open one up and try it. I've never painted on a gesso board before. This is really cool. First off, it feels very smooth. Almost like a matte finish, but really nice and soft. Almost like suede, I would say, a little bit. So those are really cool. I think, well, I've got a few different sizes here to choose from, and I've got a lot of ideas already starting to come to me what I want to paint. But I think I'm going to try something I've never tried before. So I'm going to work on this gesso board today. I'm going to lay it landscape ways, and I think I'll start with my neon red. And I haven't done this technique in a long time where I just squeeze the colors out right onto the surface. I've got titanium white here that I'm going to add, and a little bit of what's left of my lemon yellow. It's very close to neon yellow. And I think I'm going to start by using my number 11 flat brush. I'm going to gently pull into the red, the yellow, and the white, kind of all at the same time, back and forth, and then bringing it all around the sides. And now I can see right off the bat how beautiful the color is looking on this gesso board. That's what gesso is really all about, you guys. If you're wondering why gesso, why use gesso, what it does is it keeps the color the same right on the surface, the canvas or board, whatever you've got it on. It will look the same as it does in the tube. Sometimes you can lose that viscosity without gesso, especially on unprimed canvases or less expensive brands of canvas. So it's very much worth your time to use gesso, take the time to apply it, or just pick up one canvas or board that's already been gessoed from the art store. So I'm making this kind of sweepy right now, getting a soft blended look, and now I'm going to change that up a little bit and start coming in with little short brush strokes. I'm playing around with how I want to take this sky, what direction I want to go in. I'm going to go for my light blue violet and my turquoise now. I know those colors work well, and I'm thinking maybe something tropical. So first I'm going to apply some titanium white right in the middle of the sun there to keep it nice and bright, and then do a little circle around the sun, making it kind of soft and like it has a halo around it. I'm going to come in with my smallest Filbert brush and my titanium white with my light blue violet. I'm just going to apply this very loosely. The paint is staying really wet. I'm noticing that right away, that normally paint will soak into the canvas and you'll have to keep applying it, but with this I'm having to hold back from going for more paint than I normally would because it's really not soaking into anything. I can just keep moving it around, manipulating it, and playing around with it, which is really nice. So I'm blending it in slightly to what is like a coral peachy color now, with that neon red and yellow mixed together. So it's quite textured at this point. It doesn't have the soft, sweepy look that I want it to have. So I'm going to keep adding a little bit of white, pull off a little bit of paint around that sun just to make that bright white pop out even more. And then I'm going to go to my fluffy brush here that I've got. It's a flat, fluffy brush, not wet, and I'm barely touching those colors, and I'm just going to sweep, giving it a instantly soft, blurry look that I like a lot better. Okay, so next, without washing my brush, I'm going to take my turquoise with a little bit of titanium white, and I'm going to start to sweep and slide my brush back and forth along the bottom to create some tropical looking water and perhaps a little shoreline here. So I'm going to add a little bit more white where I want it to look a bit more shallow, and we'll see where this takes us. So I'm just tapping into my blue and my white with that same fluffy flat brush. I'm going to tap to try and see what kind of brush strokes I can get with this and texture I can get. And it's way too overpowering and thick, so I'm going to soften this up and pull with my brush, giving some sweepy looking clouds. Now see how this really transforms, because at first it was going to be a beautiful sunset, and then as this transforms, it begins to get kind of darker and a little bit stormy looking. And I've got my big mop brush that's completely dry, and I'm just dusting little circles. I've got some pretty turquoisey water going on, giving it a tropical look to it. So that looks like it could be rain when I pulled and kind of just swept off on an angle like that or down. And yeah, I'm really liking where this is going now. This is really fun. I can easily go in and around, giving some little highlights and peaks around these clouds. And look at how pretty that is, how it's just taking off that top layer of paint, leaving the coral color showing underneath, that neon red and yellow and white. So I'm thinking if it's kind of stormy looking, kind of that in-between stage where the storm maybe is ending, or maybe it's just starting, I don't know. But look, this kind of looks like lightning. So that's really neat. I decided to come in with a liner brush and just kind of pull off and wiggle my brush around to create little wiggly vein-like lightning strikes. So I'm just going to move the paint around a little bit here and there, creating some more little peaks and highlights, blending softly, and trying to fix a few little drops of water that I got kind of in the center right here. What I'm really enjoying about this gesso board is the blendability that it has. I'm able to keep reworking the paint and create the right shade that I want. I really recommend gesso boards. I'm definitely going to be trying more of these in the future. I just want to pull a line down here on the bottom, exposing maybe a little bit of that peach background. And then I'm going to soften with a mop brush again, soft little circles. And this brush that I'm using is a little bit wet, so it's not giving me the same softness as a dry one would. So keep that in mind, guys, if you want to create really softness and that airbrush kind of a look, use a dry mop brush. Come back in here with my liner. So I've just poured out a little bit of sap green and some cadmium red. I'm going to use my mini fan brush, and I'm going to start to tap lightly right at the horizon for some land. Maybe there's a little island there, I don't know. And I'm going to pull and flick gently both up and then down below for a reflection in the water. So all you need to do are just light little flicks, and then I'm going to turn my brush the other way drag it up lightly for some tree trunks. I'm purposely going to make different heights to my trees. That makes a painting more interesting and realistic. And then I'm going to do the same thing below, a little bit softer and slightly messier for the reflection in the water. That helps to create movement. And using the corner of my brush for the baby branches on the tops of the trees, and then as I go down the tree and it naturally gets bigger, I'll use more of my brush. So I've got about 4 here, and I'm not sure how many I'm going to do, but I decide here in the foreground that I'm going to do one larger one. Maybe I'll add a littler or a smaller one right beside it. I'm going to add a little bit of grass or moss down below. As you can see, the red and the green look really, really nice together. It's more of a soft silhouette. It's not so harsh, which is really nice against that pastel background and water. So I'm going to give this other tree a little slant and then add a little bit of a reflection, kind of on an angle. Now after applying more of this red and green down here at the base, I feel like it's a little bit too heavy, so I'm going to gently wipe some of it off. And as I'm wiping it off, it's nice to be able to see that that peach color has stayed underneath. I like that showing. And so I'm just going to wipe it off in a few other areas here along the shoreline. And at the same time, I'm adding a little bit of sap green to parts of the trees. Now with a clean brush, I'm using my small Filbert brush again. I'm taking a little bit of my turquoise and white, and I think that looks really pretty with all the other pastel colors in the sky. So I'm just going to tap in and try not to blend too much. Otherwise I'm going to stir up some of that paint underneath. If I do, it's probably just going to turn into kind of a smoky grayish color, which wouldn't be terrible, but down here I thought I would be a little bit bold and try painting some cadmium red down here on the bottom, but I'm not really crazy about it. So as you can see, I can easily scrape it off, gently scrub it off, and I'm still left with that light peach kind of a color. So I'm going to lightly scumble a little bit more off around the clouds, creating more little peaks and lines, patterns, and then I made a kind of a gray tone here just by mixing my light blue violet with my sap green and red. Now I'm going to soften and take some of it off. I really want to keep the dark contrast for the trees only. I don't want it to be too dark here around the sun. I want it to be kind of a smoky, light grayish look. So I'm gently just going to soften this until I'm happy with how it looks. And then this painting will be all done. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time, everybody. Have a wonderful day.